Ambila, if you can hear me, can you connect this? YouTube is not on yet. Okay. Awesome. So we are on YouTube. Okay, so we are live on both sides. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I have a slide here that I have the questions. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. Okay, well, don't forget to record. Yes, I won't forget to record. So I put some of the questions, I put the questions in a slide. And let me just hit record with this. Stop sharing. Just so many buttons to press. Record on this one. Wonderful. Okay, we are on. So I'd like to welcome everyone, both people, for those on the Zoom and the people that are going to be or are on the YouTube watching. Well, thank you for joining this Hormone Connection series. And today I'm excited to have Dr. Joe with us this evening. You're in Puerto Rico, and that will be like, what time in Puerto Rico right now?
It's 3 o'clock.
Oh, it's 3 o'clock. So it's like Atlanta. So you're in Puerto Rico, the sunny, enjoying the sun and having fun.
Yeah.
And looking, healthy, well,
Right.
trim. And so I definitely want to learn more about what you are doing, to keep that figure and to keep that strength, because I know that you get to do a lot. And I know that you are definitely, we are definitely around the same age. So I need to get more fit. I need to look like you.
No, you look great.
Thank you. And so we're going to get started. Normally when I run my program, I start with a short prayer. And so I say, God, I just thank you for this time, and I commit this time. And it's always for me to be a time of healing. Everything we talk about, there are people hurting, there are people needing help, there are people wanting answers. And my prayer is that this time we provide answers, to the questions. We bring healing, we bring restoration, we bring strength, we bring enlightenment. The light bulb will go up, we just turn on in people's mind, and people will be empowered for change and to know what to do. Thank you, Father, for in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So now let's get into the meat. So I have with me, so this is this event is from Aruka Brain Gym, and we call this the Aruka Brain. There's this Aruka Wellness, and the Brain Gym is a part of the Aruka Wellness Center, and we focus a lot on neurodevelopmental issues and mental health. But also, we look at other areas that affect life, that affect the body, that affect energy, because we cannot look at mental health in isolation. So we look at hormones and we look at the gut, the digestive system, everything, the totality of man. So today we started our hormone connection series last week. And I need you to, if you're online right now, I need you to pick up your phone and I need you to invite somebody, because sometimes we don't understand, how powerful information is to our well-being. You can't be your own doctor. You can't sort out a large percentage of things that you will experience in life. And the reason I'm taking the hormone connection, you guys know that I would always teach what is very important. And it might sound strange, what is hormone? But I want to tell you that though they are small messengers in the body, they are one of the most powerful chemicals in your body that determine so many things. And if you understand them, understand how they work, understand how to use them for your benefit, it will make a lot of difference. And we're going to be hearing from Dr. Joe talking to us about how they make a lot of difference. So please don't listen to this alone. I want you to pick up your phone right now and invite somebody and say, friend, husband, wife, sister, brother, I want you to listen to this because this might change your life. So today last week we looked at hormones and mood, and we learned so many powerful stuff. So the video, if you are part of our group, you have access to the video. Videos are always on for 1 week. And so this is going to be out there for 1 week. And then after that, you can always request it through your membership. Today, we are looking at hormones and productivity. And I have with me a very, very dear friend. I've actually brought him to Nigeria. I brought Dr. Joe to Nigeria in 2009, right, Dr. Joe?
Yes.
How did you find your time coming with me to Nigeria?
I loved it. It was very special time. We had a really, really good time. I think it was very impactful too, and wonderful people.
Yes, it was beautiful. I got to invite Dr. Joe, and he had so much impact. And Dr. Joe, you have to come back.
I was going to say I never got invited back, so I don't know if I did any good, but
so we are gonna get you to come back. And but it was awesome having you. And Dr. Joe has, you can see, I can't even read all of this. Dr. Joe is a doctor of chiropractic. He has a specialization in different fields, in nutrition, wellness, in naturopathic, in functional neurology, functional medicine. And so he has learned so much, but not only that, he's the owner. He runs over 40 chiropractic clinics in the US and Puerto Rico. So he's such a humble man, honoring me and coming for this, this thing, but thank you. But he runs over 40 clinics, chiropractic clinics. I'm sure he's up to 50 now, right, Dr. Joe?
Get in there.
He's getting in there, yes, clinics. And then not just that, he also owns ASIVA, which is an organization that produce supplements and wellness supplements. Yeah, so he's going to tell us later on a little bit about that. And I always love hearing the story and how he got into that. So I have just a little intro for him. I said in a career spanning more than 2, I'm sure this is old. It will be like three decades now. I copied this from your website. So this is old. You need to change some of these things. So more than two decades, Dr. Esposito experienced, hold on, let me move this so that I can read this very well. Sorry, I moved that. His experience as a health advocate has encompassed his role as a clinician. Somebody was talking about you yesterday and saying, Bumi, she was saying, when she watches the way you adjust, with so much speed and the result you get. And I'm like, yeah, Dr. Joe is a pro, I mean, I don't know if you still adjust, but just getting Dr. Joe to adjust you, it's amazing on what you're going to experience. So he's a clinician, a researcher, a writer, a formulator, a lecturer, and an entrepreneur. Dr. Joe, I'm trying to be like you. Dr. Esposito is the founder and CEO of Asiva, a pharmaceutical-grade supplement line, and Align Life, a national chiropractic franchise, which is aiming to be international. His passion is to teach and implement integrative healthcare offerings using natural solutions to maximize patients' health. In his spare time, Dr. Esposito enjoys international mission trips. I told you he came to Nigeria, spending time with his family and living in Puerto Rico.
Love it.
And then I am the host. I mean, some of you know me, some of you do not know me. I host this series, and I'm Dr. Nyabitobi Kuino. I have my PhD in counselor education and supervision. I have a doctor of chiropractic from the same university that Dr. Joe finished from, but he finished decades before me. And I have my master's in marriage and family therapy from Abilene Christian University. I also have a BA in theology and a BSc in microbiology. I have different certifications. I love neurodevelopmental issues. I love neurofeedback, biofeedback, and I'm also a clergy. And so today we are talking about hormones, and we are talking about specific hormones which affect the body. And, I have this PowerPoint here because Dr. Joe, we are not using a PowerPoint, but I just have it here so that you can see the questions we are going to be asking. Some of the hormones we are going to be talking about, remember the series, we have 4 series. And some hormones will be repeated because they cut across the topics. Some you will see it for the first time, like you saw dopamine, serotonin, endorphins last week. And adding cortisol, testosterone, growth hormones, and whatever hormones Dr. Joe tells us about today. And so, Dr. Joe, do you want to say something before you dive into the first question?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to speak again. I think it's important that we don't just stay academic, which is giving you all information about hormones, but what kind of simple steps you could take that make very complex impacts to the human body. So the actions are simple, the outcome, the actions inside the body can become very complex. But what you want to walk away from my perspective, is simple steps that you can engage in your lifestyle, your behaviors, your mindset, your thoughts and your behaviors that can actually create an outcome to your hormones. So my goal would be to give some academic, which is like, what are hormones? How do they affect? And then what are the practical things you can do today, tomorrow for free, or for low cost to impact hormones and improve your life?
Wonderful. Okay, so, and that is really what I want this to be. You got that, Dr. Joe, is to make this as simple as, possible for people to be able, simple steps that people can take to change their lives. And so the first question we are going to explore here, Dr. Joe, is, so can you talk a little bit about hormones? And then how do they affect us, especially, especially with the life we live now, motivating us, helping us to be able to do things, helping us to complete tasks? How do they influence our behavior and our decision-making? How do they influence our lives?
It's a great question. There are some hormones are basically a chemical that's released that circulates through your bloodstream and has an effect on tissue. So it'd be like in my home right now, if I put something in the airway, like a scent, let's say lavender in the HVAC, in the air conditioning, and it go throughout the house, that would be something like what happened in your body. Something secreted, and it has an impact on all the tissue of the body, or at least some target tissues of the body. There's also something else called a neurotransmitter, which is like a hormone. And some hormones act like neurotransmitters, and they actually are both, because a neurotransmitter is the same thing. It's just a chemical, a natural chemical made in your body that communicates between nerves in your brain or in your body from nerve to nerve in a very small synapse space. They both do the same thing. There are some hormones that are also neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. These are different types of hormones. So first thing to understand is you're bathing in hormones, and everything you eat, everything you think, and a lot of your behaviors will directly impact your hormones. So just having, if I was to yell at you, if I was mad at you and I yelled at you and you shed a tear of sadness or fear or anger, and then I made you laugh. She hasn't told you I'm actually very funny, but we haven't got there yet. But if I make you laugh really loud and you drop tears from happiness and you brought those tears to a lab, they'll be made up of two totally different sets of hormones. Like they've been secreted by two different people. So it's important to know that the hormones that I just mentioned, the tears, but that's the same thing that's happening in your brain and your tissue. So your tissues may be bathing in a hormone like oxytocin, which makes you empathetic, makes you affectionate, makes you want to cuddle and caress and nurture children and others in the community. Your body may be bathing in adrenaline, which is aggressive. It makes you run and fight and climb and move and go. And that's a different hormone based on my thoughts. So we want to make sure that you understand that you have a direct effect on the hormones you secrete. And when you secrete the hormone, it conversely has an effect back on your thought. So your thought can create the hormone secretion, and then the hormone secretion can now affect the thought. So it's very cyclical in the way it is. So there are many different types of hormones, and we can break those down. Let me make sure I answer the actual question. So your question was,
so telling us about hormones, and you are doing that and telling us about how they motivate us. Okay. And how they help us to complete tasks and influence our behavior. And you said that, I mean, that's powerful, Dr. Joe, that our thoughts can actually secrete hormones. And those hormones secreted can then affect our thought, which then affect our behavior.
Yeah, so you can make a decision today after this presentation to make some changes. The other impact is when your body wants to make a hormone. I'm an Italian, so in Italians, they make a sauce, a pasta, they call it gravy, and they take tomatoes and they put it into a pot, and they take basil and they put a little pinch of sugar, and they put maybe meatballs, and they put all this stuff in, and they let it sit for 5 hours to make this sauce. Well, if you didn't have tomatoes, even though you wanted to make the sauce, you're not going to be able to make it. If you're missing basil, it's not going to taste the same. If you're missing other herbs, oregano, probably not going to taste the same. So the same thing happens in your brain and your body. Even though you want to make a hormone, let's say the hormone of happiness, maybe you feel down, a little depressed, a little moody, you don't feel like being productive like we're talking about, and your body wants to make the hormone, but it doesn't have the ingredients. You're not going to make the hormone. Even though your thoughts are good, but you don't have the raw ingredients to produce the hormone, because it's an amino acid or a B vitamin or magnesium or some mineral or vitamin or amino acid or some raw ingredients not there. So you have the desire to be productive, go out and have a great day, be productive at work, go for exercise, but you can't create the hormone. So thoughts are one component of affecting these hormones. Thoughts affecting the hormones. But then your raw ingredients that you put inside of your body, what you consume in your food, it has an effect on the hormones. Okay, so we talked about first thoughts, talked about food and nutrients you put in. The last thing is toxins. You could be exposed to toxins in your home, what you put on your skin. If you put skin creams on that have ingredients that have 11 commas in it, it's this long, the name of the ingredient, that's a chemical. And that chemical goes inside of your body and it interrupts hormones. So you may be breathing in chemicals that interrupt hormones. So just to starting this off, I want to start off where we end, which is your thoughts, your intake of food, and your exposure to toxins all have an effect. And the last thing is your lifestyle, your behavior. If you never exercise, you usually have not as good of a hormone makeup inside your body. If you do exercise, it plays a huge role in affecting the different hormones. Literally just going for a long exercise or run lowers the hormone of stress, cortisol, raises hormones like dopamine. When you feel good, you get a runner's high when you go do your exercise. So again, it's thoughts, it's nutrients, it's eliminating toxins, and it's having a healthy lifestyle, including exercise. So that's the basis. Now, how does this affect your productivity? Well, if our hormones that we're bathing in, if I'm bathing in stress hormone right now, I'm going to be less productive because my body is going to be in a breakdown mode under stress. If I'm in an adrenaline of really hyped up, I'm going to be so hyped up that I can't think clearly because I'm stressed and I have a adrenaline hormone that's designed for fighting or running, and I can't focus on work because my adrenaline is too high. You know, what I was mentioning about the stress hormone, cortisol actually inside of your brain, it does something to actually shrink the memory center of your brain called the hippocampus. Something happens, and it's a little technical for if there's any doctors on the call, it's called dendritic retraction. What happens is the nerves that go from the center, the middle of the brain, which is about memory, and it has little strings of nerves that go to the area of thought and executive reasoning and different areas of emotions, and it branches out, and all of that's stored in this little box called the hippocampus. When you have cortisol, that actually shrinks this part, and it actually makes you lose memory. So if you're trying to be productive in your day, and you're like, you're trying to think, I just lost my thought, what was I doing? And you lose productivity, it's usually because the amount of stress hormone that you have in your body, you're bathing in it all day long. So one of the things you can do to reduce that, and we could get into this a little more, but cortisol has a half-life, depends on where you read the data. Some say only 2 hours, some say 6 hours. Well, let's say it's 6 hours of time. In 6 hours, you have half the hormone that you secreted. So if I got really stressed and I let stress take me over for a moment, I still have half of that hormone in my body 6 hours later. If I'm going through letting myself hit stressful points because I'm letting the external environment affect me, every 3 hours, my hormone is up all day long, causing damage to the memory center of your brain. So,
Wow.
anyway, that's just a basic. I can keep going on all the hormones,
Okay.
but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to just give a taste of.
Okay, well, let me jump in because you've said so many things that leads me to some of the questions I have here. You know, one of the things that you talked about, that the hormones are dependent on what we have in, that the hormones are formed by what we put into our bodies. And so if we don't have the right things in the body, the hormones cannot be formed. Now, I will want you to talk about what are some of those right things, but we're going to talk about that later. But before we get to that, because I know that some people on this call don't even know much about hormones, you know, and what are maybe the simplest hormones that have a huge impact on our bodies. If you can name them and tell us what they do. And then we then talk about if we are not, what do we need to have in our bodies to have this hormone? So maybe you can tell us those that we need to have and what they really do for us, for especially focusing on productivity.
Okay, so in order to make the hormones that we need for you being productive, and productivity could be considered, productivity could be cognitive function, like the way you're producing at work. Productivity could be physical, where you're actually performing, whether it be sports, exercise, or manual labor. So productivity has a number of different interpretations, but what do you need in order to make those hormones? In order to make those hormones, like I mentioned, you need raw ingredients. So, breaking that down a little, it's important that you get a consistent source of amino acids, of different proteins throughout the day. So lean meats, fish, nuts, beans, those types of things, eggs, that can actually help your body, because most of the hormones are based off amino acids. There's also other nutrients, very common for the creation of hormones. Many of the B vitamins are used as catalysts to drive and create hormones, as well as a mineral that's very common in the cascade of making hormones. The number one, I would say, would be magnesium, which is one of the more depleted minerals around the world in humans. So those are some of the things you can do to actually produce these hormones. You can't make a decision on what hormone you want to create, you want to secrete, but a positive mental attitude, being in a state of gratitude on a daily basis, on a hourly basis, on a minute-to-minute basis of living in gratitude will put your body in the right state if you have the right ingredients available to create all the good hormones that your body needs to maintain productivity. To lose productivity is when you allow yourself to secrete hormones that are going to create havoc on your productivity. When we talked about cortisol, stress hormone can be secreted by your bad diet when you eat too much sugar. However, stress hormone can all be secreted by your simple perception of stress. So some people's stress would be if my leg got cut off. Some people's stress may be we don't have my favorite dessert on the counter and I'm mad, and you perceive that as stressful. So you have to be cognitively aware of how to not allow yourself to have every external influence allow you to perceive stress. So when you see a stressful interaction, whether it be news that's not good, gossip from your friends, stress from your boss at work, you want to immediately take a deep breath from your abdomen and focus on gratitude. At the exact second that you're hearing something that you know is going to release the hormone of stress. So you actually stop that secretion. So you can actually be self-aware of that, and you could stop that secretion of stress hormone. And you could also slow down your body's internal creation of it, not from the mind, but from your diet. Cutting the sugar, increasing your green leafy vegetables, your overall intake of all colored vegetables, and cutting that sugar level. So those are two ways to drop the cortisol, the stress hormone, and raise the happy hormones, serotonin, dopamine, which will drive productivity. And a lot of them drive it not only through your ability to have energy, which is a very big point in productivity. We have to have the energy to do it. But these hormones, some of these hormones have a direct effect on cognitive function, your ability to process and work and be productive. Now, there's other hormones that reduce as we age, like thyroid hormone, estrogen, which is very important in women for productivity because it affects cognitive function. And some of those, you have to be aware of them and know, I'm getting more tired. I'm starting to lose my thoughts. And then you can use a natural practitioner like Dr. K, or you can, talk to your doctor or health coach to kind of get some guidance on the steps you can take to do it. Or sometimes you need bioidentical hormone supplementation where you're so deficient in testosterone, which is a driver. It does get you up and productive. And you may need to supplement with testosterone. But what I found in most cases, if you lower your blood sugar with the proper diet, most hormones will become regulated on their own. Most hormones.
Wow, that is powerful. That one of the major hindrances to a balanced hormone for us is sugar. And that is so powerful because sugar is hidden in almost everything we take. Almost anything that is canned in tins, in cans, you have sugar everywhere. And so as you are talking, I'm thinking about cortisol, because we talk about cortisol a lot, which is one of the hormones that we secrete. And we always think it's bad, but is it really, really bad?
No, it's essential. If you don't secrete it, if you don't have it for like 72 hours, you'll die. It's an essential hormone for the body. It does amazing things. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. It actually reduces inflammation in the body. It actually, when your blood sugar crashes, it is a hormone that actually frees up blood sugar for the brain. So it is a wonderful hormone. It's just abused, misused and overused in the body because of the context of our environment, our diet, and the level of stress. They say the stress that we have now is 100 times, not 100%, 100 times that of our grandparents. Think of that for a minute. You're connected at every second to your phone, your computer, things are beeping and there's notifications. You are distracted literally every minute of your waking day, all day long. And grandparents didn't have that. So all of that interaction consistently, that there's no downtime, has made our stress level so high that the hormonal makeup of the body, designed tens of thousands of years ago, is not conditioned for the lifestyle we've created in the last decade. It's just not conditioned for that. So we're over-secreting cortisol. That's a beautiful hormone, does wonderful things to the human body, but in excess, it causes you to lose muscle tissue. It causes you to lose cognitive function, your ability to use your brain as effectively. It causes so much damage to the body when it's overused.
Almost like, because part of what it's there to do is to bond sugar for you. And so it's almost like it bonds everything else. When it's too much, it's trying to bond sugar. So it bonds your tissue, it bonds your brain out, because it's created to bond energy for you to use so that you can run, you can do the things you can do. So it's just very important to realize that, because people say, but I'm not stressed. I'm not stressed. Now, how do we measure? How do we know that we have too much cortisol? Because a lot of people, if you say, but are you stressed? You say, but I'm not stressed. I'm okay. I sit at home or I go to work, I come back, and you said something that even, picking the phone, answering phone, just TV, the distractions, all of this increases cortisol. So how do we know? Because we can't always be going to the lab to measure cortisol. How do we know that we have excess cortisol?
Well, if you have excess cortisol, you usually have mood swings, anxiety, depression, irritability. You usually have muscle weakness. You don't have the strength you used to have. There's a style of the style of the body. Usually you have excess weight gain in the face. You see a rounder face, more pudgy in the face and the neck. Usually have a little more, you see more of a belly and thin arms and legs. So you lose the muscle here, you lose the muscle, your legs are getting thinner, and you got more weight here and more weight here is common. Other things with high cortisol, if you have too much of that, is your blood pressure goes up. That's something that you could measure. and even potentially osteoporosis, that your bone starts to thin a little bit. So those are some general ideas. Now, you could also do tests where you collect saliva, send it to a lab, and it can show if it's too high or too low. What happens, just like with insulin that you may have talked about on other, or will talk about during the series, insulin is secreted due to high sugar. It can be very damaging, just like cortisol, if you secrete too much of it. So with cortisol, I just lost my thought on that. When cortisol goes too high, this is my point. When cortisol goes too high, just like insulin, then it crashes and burns, and then you don't have enough. So the problems are both sides. One is you're secreting too much, and like you said, you may not have any symptoms when it's high. You may not even notice because you feel like Superwoman or Superman, that you just keep going and going. I'm not stressed. Nothing bothers me. And it goes up and up and up. And I'm not stressed. I'm not stressed. And then guess what? Boom, it crashes. Can't get out of bed. 4 cups of coffee to in the middle of the day. Lots of sugar to keep your eyes open. Gaining weight. Getting irritable. Starting to get depressed. Not sleeping. And all these things start to happen because you overuse the gland and the hormone crashed. Just like the pancreas, you overuse the insulin, you keep going, and boom, now you have diabetes. So you can't abuse the glands that secrete hormones, or you won't have the hormone to use.
Wow. Now, Mike, that brings me to another question. I know we talk about adrenal fatigue, and I also want to ask, is there also, so I'm going to ask 2 questions in one. What is this adrenal fatigue? Can it be reversed? Number 2, is there a link between hypothyroids, burning out your thyroids, and, reducing, losing the hormone and cortisol? So
Yeah.
adrenal fatigue, what can it be reversed? And then the link between thyroid, because thyroid is very important with metabolism. You need energy, to work. And thyroid hormone helps with energy production. And so when it is low, then energy production is low. You don't have energy. You don't have, things are not being metabolized. You have, your extremities are cold and, all those kind of experiences. And so I'm wondering, what is the, just like every other person might be wondering, how does this cortisol affect this? Because we don't want that, because you already said that as we age, the thyroid hormone goes down, and so, is there a link between this high cortisol and just the downward trend of the thyroid hormone and then the adrenal fatigue?
Yeah, the term adrenal fatigue is properly coined hypoadrenia, which means you have low adrenal function. So that's what we were talking about. So it is correlated, that condition of the fatigue, adrenal fatigue, is from cortisol being too high for too long. So it's right in line with that conversation. When cortisol goes too high, yes, it actually causes the hormone of T4 to not convert into the more active thyroid hormone called T3. It converts into something called reverse T3 or inactive T3. So it actually steps in the way and messes things up when your body's trying to create the thyroid hormone that keeps your energy going, keeps you thin, in shape. So yes, 100% right. They are correlated very tightly. So you want to be careful of letting that stress hormone go too high. From the too much sugar or too much stress, perception stress, is going to cause damage to the thyroid gland. When that happens, yes, productivity is going to crash and burn very badly. When cortisol is too high, thyroid's too low, it'll be like a screeching halt to productivity.
Wow. Okay. So now, with what we know, we don't want high cortisol. So what do we do, knowing that I might have high cortisol? I might not be able to always go to the lab. The symptoms might not start showing up early, but how can I mop it up, just live a lifestyle of ensuring that my cortisol doesn't go up, and then if it goes up, I can mop it up and get rid of it fast enough.
Yes, so there's a number of things you can do to modify that. The first thing is what I mentioned earlier, is an attitude of gratitude, because you got to change the way you're thinking. Because if you perceive everything as stress, you'll never, doesn't matter what you eat, it doesn't matter what nutrients you take, doesn't matter what supplements you take. If you don't live in an attitude of gratitude and everything is stress to you, every interaction, every relationship, your job, every moment of your job, and you always feel stressed because you perceive everything as stress, you'll never help yourself and it'll never change. So the first thing is an attitude of gratitude. So you change how you, the lens in how you view the world and your life, right? That's number one. Number two, you can do is you want to start repairing the adrenal gland. There's certain nutrients that you need, one of them being B5, pantothenic acid. You want about as high as 1,500 milligrams of that a day in 3 equal doses, like 500 milligrams 3 times a day. That'll help regenerate the gland. Vitamin C also helps regenerate the gland, and different type of adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha and other such herbs. I formulate products. So a product that we formulated called Stress Relief is designed with the adaptogenic herb and the nutrients to actually cause that cortisol to become regulated. So if it's too low, we'll raise a little. If it's too high, we'll lower it a little. It's called an adaptogenic formula, if that makes sense. So those are some of the things that you can do. And again, making sure you get the adequate protein and making sure that you're low in your inflammatory load to the body. So removing dairy and wheat, if you can, those are highly inflammatory foods. Eating the lots of vegetables, lean meats, and things like good oils, putting in the body, whether it be fats from avocados, fats from coconut. That's not as much omega-3, but it's healthy oil.
What about our red oil, palm oil?
Palm oil, omega-3 oil, fish oil, you can get in capsules. That all that will reduce inflammation as well. So that kind of is a good approach, looking at some of the food, some of the nutrients, and some of the the thoughts that we need to have to balance that out.
Wonderful. That is awesome that to have all of that. But it's powerful that you talked about changing our lens of how we view the world, and having an attitude of gratitude, and that attitude of gratitude will help us, not to be stressed with every interaction we have, and interactions will not appear stressful. And because we know that we don't live in isolation, a lot of our issues in life is due to interaction with somebody, situations, and if we can always have that attitude of gratitude, then we remove a large percentage of the stress. And then the remaining, we are talking about good dietary lifestyle. And then there are herbs that we can eat that you call them adaptogenic. And they are like cortisol mop. It's like, I like when I hear the word mop, I think about when I pour water and I get my fluffy mop and I mop it up. And so some of those ashwagandha, bordiosiola, there are quite a number of them are good. I also did some slide with some Nigerian, since most of the people here are Nigerian, so I'm going to share the slide to look at more Nigerian foods that are also good with relieving stress. Now,
so
before
this is egusi, is that how you say it? Egusi melon seeds?
Egusi, that is nice. Yeah, somebody said that. Fat from egusi melon seed. Yeah.
I just looked it up and it looks really good. It's got high protein and good fat. So
yes.
I got to find some of that here in the States. I don't know where to find that.
I don't know. Just tell me, I will ship some down to you. Now, I want to ask about two more hormones before I show the slide and I take questions from the audience. It's one of them is the growth hormone and testosterone. I want to talk about that. So first of all, the growth hormone, we've not talked about it. Is there an impact, does it impact our productivity? And then is there a way that we cause it to, like go down or, go too high? What do we do with that?
So will growth hormone affect productivity? Is that what you said? Yeah. So growth hormone, it goes down as we age. So it's probably one of the first one to start really dropping in both men and women. So does it affect? Yeah, it can affect all the different aspects like other hormones, mood. It affects cognitive function in the brain, affects muscle strength and the volume of muscle. So it definitely has a direct effect on it. Yes. Growth hormone is secreted during deep sleep. So how do you manage that? As we age, usually as we get into being elderly, our sleep becomes affected. We wake up in the middle of the night, we sleep less hours a night, we have less quality of sleep at night as we start to age. So one of the things to do is study your sleep hygiene. Are you getting ready for bed? Is it a colder environment? Are you keeping from eating the last couple hours before getting into bed? Is your room fully black? Did you eliminate the blue light the last 3-4 hours before bed? All of these sleep hygiene steps that you can take, biohacking steps you could take, will actually help even as you age to make sure that you secrete as much growth hormone as you can. So the answer is yes, growth hormone does affect productivity pretty well. And yes, there's things you can do. Although it will go down as you age, you want to help yourself maximize the healthy secretion of it if you can.
Well, thank you. I mean, you said something about the do you call it the blue, the
blue light? Yeah, so
blue lights, yes, those are, and that is so important because honestly, most of us, and you said something about getting rid of blue lights 3 hours before bed. I don't know how that is going to be possible because most of us go to bed with our phones. We fall asleep, and I know that you get blue lights from the phone also, right? From the screen. Do you get blue light from the phones?
Yeah, from the phones, from the screens.
From the laptop. Most of us are in bed. They've even made like a top for your laptop to be on your lap while you are lying down in bed. And so most of us are like 11 p.m. with our laptop and chatting with friends on the phone. So I'm wondering how we are going to manage this. And I am guilty. So I'm talking about myself right now.
If you can share, if I could share the screen, I'll show you something.
Okay, give me a moment. Sorry, let me make you a call. I should have done that from the beginning. Okay, I have made you a co-host, so you can share your screen.
So there are things like this type of these glasses that block the blue light that you wear if you're watching TV, you wear when you're using your phone the last 4 hours, because and there's a lot of sites on that. You just want to look up blue light blockers in Nigeria and see what you can find. This is a company in the States, and it basically blocks the blue light. So let me stop sharing here.
Wow.
So what happens is that you showed a slide earlier that I love, which is melatonin secreted. Your eyes perceive light. It goes into the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which I saw on your slide, SCN, which is this nucleus. It's like a transmitter inside the brain that collects the light, and it basically turns on or turns off the pineal gland that releases melatonin to tell you to sleep, to release sleep hormone, melatonin, or not secrete it. So when you're on this thing at 10:30 at night and you got that blue light in your eye, you're taking your melatonin and crashing it. So your depth, your sleep, you cannot have this thing without those, or there is blue light blocking on the phone. Look up apps on it, and I have it on mine. If you could see my phone, I'll click it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Do you see it? See the difference? See the red? 1, 2, 3. I set it up. So that's how I view the phone at night. It takes all the blue light out, and it doesn't affect me before bed. So there are and things you can do. That's a very practical thing. And if you took away something, because what we're seeing is a lot of the stress, a lot of the need for sugar and cravings for sugar, a lot of reasons why we don't exercise is due to lack of sleep. So if we fix our sleep cycle, our life changes. So a lot of this mess that we deal with on what is cause and effect, I'm finding after 3 decades, a lot of the problem over the age of 30 is sleep, affecting all of that. Why do we eat sugar? Not because we're hungry. We eat it because we're craving something in our brain that we don't secrete because we're not sleeping, or we're just extreme fatigue. Sugar gives us a little dope, gives us
fast energy, cheap fast
I need
energy.
Sugar. Boom. I'm ready to work. I need some sugar because we're not sleeping. So some of you may see this as like, wow, I got to fix that. And then investigate the concept of sleep hygiene. You can read about it. It tells you the steps you can take to sleep better. It talks about blocking the blue light. You can research that, and that will really help you change not only your sleep, but the hormones we're talking about, and eventually your productivity.
Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. Dr. Joe, well, somebody there should know I'm going to be a millionaire by selling those lenses in Nigeria. Somebody should not steal my business idea, because we all need to block, the blue lights. And many of us are really not sleeping deep, because somebody said to me, and I read it, that it's not in the hours, not just in the hours of sleep, but the quality of sleep. And then the timing of sleep. There's this timing where your body needs to be asleep and needs to be in deep sleep, because productivity is about good sleep. And when my body is able to clean out and I wake up refreshed, then I'm productive, but do you want to say a little bit about that period of sleep that is most important to us to be well asleep?
Yeah, your liver detoxifies and removes the damaging waste products of digestion or respiration, relieving carbon dioxide, relieving toxins and hormones. The liver works pretty hard at night following the circadian rhythms. So like 11 to 3 in the morning is a window, supposedly the best window for detoxification. Those of us going to bed at 1 a.m., right away, we lost half of our prime detoxification time. So we'd love to change all of it, but unfortunately, a lot of the cycles inside of our body is run by the cycles of the earth. So like when the light comes up and the light goes down, light affects what I told you earlier, your sleep hormone. So you can't defy nature. You can't change the rules. You got to follow the rules of nature. And that is, within time, once it gets dark, your body should start secreting melatonin and allow the body to start to cool down, release the hormone to get some deep sleep. So that's kind of my advice, is to, follow the earth in your food, in your sleep cycles, in all of your basic behavioral patterns.
Follow the earth. I'm going to make a slogan out of that, because our body is earthy. We are made from the earth, so it makes sense that, following the rhythm of the earth in sleep, the sun goes down, it's night, go to bed. The sun rises, wake up. Even for the brain, we talk about the tapping, the what do you call it, metronome, like everything follows a pattern. And it's important to learn more about those patterns. In the food we eat, we are learning that the more natural, the more they are close to the soil, to the earth, the healthier it is for us. So we are learning, to follow the earth, in our living pattern, and our bodies will be healthier for it. So thank you for, teaching us that again. Please, you've heard, it's not I sleep and I wake up at 8 a.m. It's like, am I asleep between that period where my body is detoxing? Finally, before we let you take some questions, is testosterone. That is a big one. And can you just talk about it a bit for male and female?
Yeah, testosterone is important for both men and women. It sustains muscle tissue. In the men during andropause, the body starts to decrease its production. Now, there is some production done by the adrenal glands, which secretes cortisol. If you burn out your cortisol and you burn out your adrenal gland, you're not going to be able to make a little testosterone that you need. And then you see a man really crash. The women only secrete, they don't have testes, so a woman secretes her testosterone from her adrenal glands. If you're overly stressed or overly sugar consumption, you're not going to secrete the little bit of testosterone you need from the adrenal glands, which are above the kidneys. So what you're going to do is you're going to start to have loss of muscle tissue, increase in fat tissue, less confidence, less drive to succeed and be productive. We're talking about all that's from testosterone. So you got to, again, go upstream and find out what are the causes. It could be that cortisol we talked about, making your testosterone go down. So you can evaluate your body and your productivity and say, I'm lower productive, I've gained more fat, I've lost muscle. There you go. You probably have a lower testosterone. One of the best ways to regulate testosterone, you're going to think it's a different secret that I have, but it's regulating blood sugar. If you keep your insulin down, your testosterone can become regulated.
Oh, wow.
There is a nutrient that's interesting, boron. Very small amount of boron can raise testosterone significantly in both men and women. Boron. We recently put it in our product called Triple Mag. We added just enough boron to regulate the hormones in both men and women and testosterone. So, but you can find boron, hopefully in a store. A small dose of it will regulate, can regulate testosterone.
Wonderful. This is things that we would have paid so much to learn. Understanding that you have, boron can bring up testosterone. And because we are talking about productivity, without drive, there's no productivity. And without testosterone, male and female, we both need it. It's not just a male hormone. Women also produce and need testosterone. Without that, there's no drive, whether sexual drive, and we're going to be talking more about that when we talk about hormones and sex. Without drive, there's no productivity, whether it's physical productivity, sexual productivity, and so understanding that this is important is very crucial. And then, Dr. Joe, you've done an amazing work in looking at what your patient, from decades of working with patient, towards the end, you will share a bit more about, some of your formulation, from working with patients for over 3 decades. You've looked at what they need with the knowledge and all this training you have. You formulate things that they can use, and those things that are available because you do your due diligence. I've used a lot of your products in my clinic. I use the Detox, the Ultimate Body Cleanse. It's amazing. I use the Absolute Green. I know you have the stress relief. And so these are products that are available and people can have access to. before we take the questions, let me just share a few things. I've asked most of the questions on this slide, so that we don't have to go through the slide. But I just want to show us some things here. We've talked about that. We talked about, it mentioned dopamine. Dr. Joe mentioned dopamine a bit, which is the feel-good hormone. And all of these are important, because if you don't feel good, you won't be productive. I mean, if I'm not feeling good, I'm depressed. You are down. You don't want to do anything. And understanding, you see, constant fatigue, lack of motivation, lack of concentration, and all of that. It talked a lot about cortisol, the stress hormone, and the impact of that on the body. These are some of those questions. We talk about benefit of testosterone. Look at this, a nice picture showing what it talked about. You lose muscles in the leg, in the arm, and then you have belly fat. Many of our men now have belly fat, and women. And we think, oh, that is being rich. That is being, we've made it in life. No, you've lost testosterone. You are losing drive. You are losing motivation. So we don't want that big belly. And it has told us that one of the things that can help is boron. And then it talked about the triple magnesium. Magnesium is powerful. And then it has a product called triple magnesium that has boron in it. And then we talked about the growth hormone and the power of the growth hormones. And then we look at the deficiency. What is the cause of deficiency? We looked at, it's the same thing he has said for all the hormones: chronic stress, cortisol, unhealthy, poor diet, drug abuse, medication, lack of sleep, lack of omega-3 fatty acid, inadequate rest, and all of that are known to cause, and then it's talked about how do we boost these hormones. It's talked about gratitude, a heart of gratitude, living a life, exercise, improve your sleep habits, laugh and play, gratitude, listen to music, rest, deep breathing. It talked about breathing from your belly. All of this, sufficient sleep, balanced nutrition, all of this come to help us. And then we looked at what are some of the foods, Nigerian foods. That's what I did here. What are some of the Nigerian foods you can use to boost your hormone? You can imagine, simple things. Let's stop looking for pizza, shawarma. And yes, I like shawarma, but we cannot live on that. God has given us natural foods. Look at our kunu, soybeans, granules, locust beans, moi moi, banana, green leafy vegetable, potatoes, cassava, dates, sardine, avocado, stockfish, crayfish, turmeric. All of these are things that we have, that red palm oil, tiger nut, plantain, African walnut, ginger, turmeric. All of these are able to help us to boost our hormone. Next week, we are going to be talking about how hormones affect health and wellness. And it's going to be powerful because we are going to be looking at diseases. We are going to be looking at cancer. We are going to be looking at high blood pressure. We are going to be looking at diabetes. We are going to be looking at specific health issues. And we are going to see how hormone, especially cortisol, estrogen, how do they affect this? So you don't want to miss it. Now, I'm going to open up for what you call it, questions in the audience. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to ask Dr. Joe to share some of what you formulated with us. And since I have you can always switch the screen to your screen and just talk a bit more about, those some of those formulations. So I'm opening, you can raise up your hand or you can type your questions. Okay. Any questions before Dr. Joe? Dr. Joe has to leave in a few minutes. So any questions, because we are rounding up, any questions here? Do you have questions? Are there things you need clarity on? Okay, Dr. Joe, somebody said, can you speak more on detox?
Yeah, so you did talk about the program. I thought you brought it to Nigeria, the program.
Yes, I actually have the detox package in Nigeria, and we are going to be talking. Do you know what? Because it's a big topic, and this time it's fast spent, I'm actually going to be, because when we talk about the next week, hormones, health and wellness, we're going to talk more about detox. And so please join us same time next week for the hormone series, and we are going to be talking a lot more about detox. Okay.
Okay.
Any other question? Okay, well, if you don't have any more questions, I'm surprised. Maybe have I asked all the questions that you would like to ask? Because I know I asked a lot of questions. Now, if this series was so very informative for you, can you give me a thumbs up? Can I see your thumbs up if it was extremely informative? It was really, you're going away with your information. Can I see thumbs up? Yes, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I can see your thumb. Yeah, thank you. Okay. You know. Okay, Aisha, yes, I can see your hand up. Yes, because I know some people might not even know where to find the thumbs up. And you can unmute yourself and say a word if you want to. Okay, I can see thumbs up. Yeah, Eunice, yeah, I can see. Okay, thank you, Dr. Joe. Yes, thank you. Dr. Joe, thank you so much. And I know you've got to jump off. I will go ahead and okay. Yeah, we appreciate your time. And Dr. Joe's link is Asiva. If you jump up, it's okay. I will go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye, Dr. Joe. I'm going to go, and so for those that want to see more, because I mean, it has put his wealth of knowledge, years of training into formulating his product, Asiva. Yes, so I'm going to share so you can go in and learn more about it. Good. Let me share my screen again. So you can go, this is the site, asiva.com. And you can see, so you can go there. We actually have this absolute green in Nigeria, so if you need this, you can reach out to me. I use it, it's just a powerful combination to get your body in order, and you can see, these are all the things we looked at. It talked about the stress relief. Yeah, it talked about stress relief, which helps to burn cortisol, balance cortisol. He also talked about sweet dreams, which helps with sleep, mood matters. He also talked about triple magnesium, which helps with testosterone. So you can always reach out to me, because it's in the US. You can reach out to me if there's something you see, there's a need. Thank you. Somebody, Aisha has a hand up. Okay, Aisha, do you have a question? We also have this detox program, which we are going to be talking about. It has this detox program called the Absolute. I take people through this detox every year. It's like a 10-day detox that has all this, everything. It's like a yearly, it's like you plan, it's not something you do, you plan for it for a year. You know, it's once or twice a year, you take your body to the cleaners. You clean your body in and out. It has liver cleanse, kidney cleanse, parasite cleanse, detoxing the cells, clean protein for 10 days, and a book that guides you step by step. We are going to be doing this detox as a group. I do it yearly or twice a year as a group. And we are going to be doing one very soon. So you can you can reach out. Mosun, can you put our email and phone number on the chat? You can reach out if you will like to be part of this cleanse. Then if you would like to be part of the next week so that we can send you the link, please kindly, there's registration, you get a registration link on the chat. Please kindly copy the registration link and use it to register for next week, or share with a friend to register for next week. Can we have, Ambila, can we have the registration link? So I'm just going to give us a few minutes. Can we have, so yeah, so that is the email is on the chat. Please, you can copy the email, avocainternationalcenter@gmail.com, avocainternationalcenter@gmail.com. And then our phone number is here. And you can copy that if you have questions, if you want to know more about the Absolute Green, the detox challenge that will be running soon. And then please, for the next series, this has been powerful. Boron, you've learned about boron, magnesium, you've learned about gratitude, you've learned about sleep, the best time to sleep, you know, and so, but do we have the registration link on? Let me see, do we now have that? No, we don't. Okay. Ambila, do we have the registration link on? And then I'm sure we have people on YouTube. Thanks for joining, and please make sure that you reach out if you would like to have any more, if you have any questions, make sure you reach out. And I hope to see you next week, Thursday, for the hormone series on health and wellness, how hormone affects health and wellness. And during this series, we are going to be looking more at disease situations and how hormone, you know, affects all of this. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye for now.